This is Karen with newclevelandradio.net, and we are live streaming today. We have figured it out thanks to Zoom, and it is now time for What in the World with Paul Seaburn and his sidekick, John DiNallo.
Hey,
Hi,
everybody.
guys.
How's everybody out there in podcast land? Yes, it is I, Paul Seaburn, host of What in the World, everybody's favorite weird news podcast. Real news, sometimes strange, always funny. That's our motto. And hopefully we try to live up to it every week. So far, we haven't gotten any complaints, and we don't want you sending any if you have them. Just
That's a good one, Paul. That's a good one.
There you go. Yeah, thank you, John. So I'm here with Karen Hale, the media mogul at newclevelandradio.net, our producer and co-host. Hello, Karen.
Hello, Paul and John.
I want to mention newclevelandradio.net because that's our platform. It's the place to go to find out how to listen to or watch What in the World. Click on, there's a bar across the top on podcast, click on it. On the menu, click on my name, and you get all that information. I especially recommend coming to visit us on YouTube because we do occasionally use photographs, which I try to describe as best I can to those listening. But some of them are a lot of fun. So take a look at it. Wherever you go to listen to What in the World, please like us, follow us, do whatever they ask you to do so we know that you're there. And also on the show this week, as always, is my old friend John DiNallo, host of What in the World of Sports. Hey, John, how are you?
Hi, Paul. I'm doing well. Hi, Karen. Doing well.
Hi.
And trying to get through the rain in Cleveland here. I don't know what we have so much rain recently, but there's a lot of
day, that's
sunshine
right.
inside. A lot of sunshine
Yeah.
inside here with us. So,
Well,
something
we're
like
not complaining. We're not complaining. If the weather gods are listening, we are not complaining. I heard it. I was reading. I don't know if it was. I'm reading a couple of old books from by George Carlin, and it may have been in one of his books. He talks about if the Native Americans used to do rain dances, and he said, I wonder if they practiced before they did them, and if they practiced, did it also make it rain? And if it rained, then was it actually a practice dance or was it actually a real dance? And could they communicate with the rain god? The perfect kind of conversation that goes on in my head.
that's the thought provoker out there. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's one. I spent an awful lot of time wondering about that. So, but we're not going to do that. We've got all kind of great stories for you this week. The stories are all real. They're all from news sources that I have around the world. I am the editor and head writer at mysteriousuniverse.org, where some of the stories come from, but not all of them. And I'm a little more serious on Mysterious Universe. Here, we are 100% fun. We want you to forget about the bad news, the business news, the health news, all that other stuff that depresses everyone, and just have a good time for an hour. So let's get right to it with our news for this week. What am I going to be talking about today? I love this one. Pierogi crimes in Pennsylvania.
Wow.
Yeah, big crime wave involving pierogies. The first and best bikini song. This was on the national news, but we're going to go into real depth on this particular news story today. Albino tortoises in Switzerland. Now, two things I never thought I would mention in the same sentence.
Really?
Yeah. Now we do some crossover with the mainstream media, and I will be talking about Queen Elizabeth, but I'm going to be talking about the UFOs that were seen during her big Jubilee celebration.
Whoa.
John and I went to college together. John, this is for us. Ancient Greek school yearbooks were found. So we're going to learn a little bit about yearbooks far older than ours, although ours are pretty old. Animals versus musical instruments in Canada. I love this story. This is a great story. And more odd news. I got a couple of world records that are pretty interesting. John's got a great weird sport for us. And then before we're done, we play everybody's weird news game, Bluff the Co-host. So place your bets early. We do allow gambling, but first let's go to, a sports story, John. I'm going to start out just for you.
Hey, good.
Sports story from Hungary. Oh, in fact, I even have a photograph of it. So let me get practice getting my photograph. There we go. I'll get the photograph right up here. So this is a basketball-loving female guinea pig in Dombovar, Hungary. So this guinea pig was trained, or maybe she learned on her own, how to dunk basketballs. She's got a little basketball hoop set up, and she runs up to it and dunks the basket, grabs the ball and dunks it again. She does this so well, John and Karen and everybody out there, that she broke a Guinness World Record for guinea pigs. Who knew?
Wow.
Who knew that Guinness kept track of guinea pig records? Guinness World Record for guinea pigs. She made 4 slam dunks in 30 seconds. How about that, John? 4 in 30 seconds.
That is astounding. That's an astounding record because, first of all, I never thought a guinea pig could do something with a basketball.
There you go. Yeah.
My own eyes. I see it with my own eyes. Wow.
Not only that, Spike Lee was sitting on the sidelines talking trash to her. Yeah. It was a challenge to make those baskets. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I know. She would have made 5, but she had to stop for a bathroom break and was charged with a loose bowel foul.
Where's
Bigfoot? Bigfoot. Everybody weighs in on that one.
Of course.
Bigfoot liked that one. Yeah. Okay, Bigfoot. Thanks for your help on that. So, I was, as I just described when I was reading about the stuff that George Carlin talked about, I'm thinking, what is this guinea pig thinking about while she's dunking these baskets? Is she thinking about, why am I doing this? Or maybe she knows what she's doing. This is what I think. She knows what she's doing. And she's thinking, this is nothing. I could dribble between my legs. I could dribble behind my back. But what are they going to give me? Just another treat. Would they give me more pellets? No. So that's what she does. She does her 4 dunks. She gets her pellets. She gets her little world record certificate that they'll probably put on the bottom of her cage underneath the shaving. And there you go.
Do you think she would play for the Cavs if we recruited her?
Oh, I think it would be great. I think it'd be great if she played for the Cavs. I remember there was a guy, Muggsy Bogues, was that his name, John?
Muggsy, his name was Muggsy Bogues, Paul.
Muggsy, he was like about 5'4", maybe, not much bigger than a guinea pig.
I think it was 5'3", yeah.
And he could dunk. So,
shorter than Muggsy, that's for sure.
Yeah, there you go. That's Muggsy, if you're out there. No, never mind. We wonder what happened to old Muggsy. Oh, let's move on. So I've got a bunch of pictures here today. So that we had a picture of the guinea pig here. This one comes from British Columbia, another animal story. Tristan Clausen, a music teacher at St. John's Academy in Shawnigan Lake, British Columbia. Okay, so he's a music teacher. He's outside, I think it's a high school, and he sees a bear. So he just so happens to have his trombone with him. Maybe he was going to give lessons, I don't know, but he happens to have his trombone with him. So he starts playing the trombone and he manages to scare the bear away. Now, he had a backup plan just in case the bear didn't run. What he was going to do was going to zip right back into the building, go back to his classroom and bring out an accordion, because there's no animal in the world that will stick around to listen to accordion music. So I'm thinking, what kind of instrument does work best against bears? The trombone seemed like a good idea because besides it being loud, in fact, I had to look it up. I wondered where the name came from. And tromba means horn, and own means large. So it's a large horn. That's where the name came from. And it's loud too. Plus, it's got a handle, so you could beat the bear. If the bear decided it didn't like your music and you couldn't get back in the building, you could beat it with the trombone. Tuba might be a good one. Because John, you could put the tuba over the bear's head, and maybe get it stuck like a a Roadrunner cartoon or something.
That's a good point.
Warner Brothers, yeah.
Yeah,
Or my favorite though, I thought a drum, like a bass drum or even a snare drum, because you could go to the bear and you could say, look, it's a picnic basket. And bears aren't that bright. And they'll believe you when you say it's a picnic basket, and you give it to them, and then you run away while they try to get inside, and they're beating on the drum, and it probably scares them. I don't know.
Then they'll run away from the drum and follow you.
No, we were hoping that wouldn't happen, Karen.
Oh,
but,
okay.
What can I say? So here's Karen. Since you spoke up, this story is for you. Now I know how much you like getting tattoos. I mean, tattoo stories. I know you don't have any tattoos that we know of.
No tattoos.
No tattoos. John, I don't think has any tattoos.
No, I do not. No,
it's been a long time since we were in the locker room together, John. But
that's true.
Anyways,
that is true. That is true.
This is this is another world record story. This one, I think this guy's American, which sadly, his name is Matt Gone. He set a Guinness World Record for the most tattoos of squares on his body. Now, for those of you who can't imagine what that looks like, and just to gross Karen out, I have a picture of Matt Gone, 3 pictures actually of him, and you can see that his face looks like a checkerboard. It is completely covered with black and white squares that are tattoos. They get smaller as they go down his neck, all across his shoulder, down his belly. If you're interested, Karen, he has them all over himself.
Oh, no. Oh, my God.
Including on his back. That's just of his front. So Matt Gone has 878 squares tattooed all over his body. 878. Believe it or not, he makes a living by being tattooed with all these checkers. What he does is he goes to NASCAR races, and at the end of the race, he runs across the finish line if they don't have a flag. And I had to look this up.
He serves that purpose, obviously.
He's a human checkered flag. Yeah, that's what he is, John. He's a human checkered flag. The breakdown. Now, for those of you who are interested, Karen is not one of them.
No.
His totals on his head, 201 square tattoos. On his shoulders, 190. Torso and arms, 250. He doesn't have big arms. They must tattoo. On his legs, 180. And get ready for this, and I'll use the clean word, on his genitalia, 26.
No.
26.
Oh,
Yes. I'm not going to.
it's painful.
We're not even going to go any further than that.
No.
What he said was,
further than that. No, I don't think you do.
I'm shocked that neither one of you asked, why would he do such a thing? But he anticipated you asking, just like everybody else out there in podcast land. And he said, I realized at a young age that checkers were everywhere. Children's toys, bathroom floors, art, fashion, even ancient cave paintings. So I decided to get checkers all over my body. No one else is doing it. I'm the first. It's the hardest thing. He said also that it's the hardest thing to find an original tattoo design. So he believes that having his body covered with checkers is original. I guess it is.
More power to him, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get right to the next story so Karen doesn't have to look at checkerboard man.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Police in Pennsylvania. Oh, this is the Pennsylvania pierogi. So police in Pennsylvania State Police are looking for a burglar, and I'll get him off of here right here. Looking for a burglar who broke into a Lewis Township home, which is near Philadelphia, I believe, and stole a 5-pound bag of Mrs. T's pierogies. I have a picture of Mrs. T's pierogies up here. For those of you who have never seen them in the grocery store, they are the only pierogies, I believe, outside of in most cities. The only pierogies available. When we lived in Texas, those are the only pierogies that were in the grocery store, which is why we immediately flew back to Cleveland and bought 30 pounds of homemade pierogies from our local church and took them back with us. Anyways, the so they're still looking for the burglar. They haven't found him yet. And one day, he was named Lewis Township's most wanted criminal for stealing the pierogi, and also Mrs. T's customer of the month. So because he did more for Mrs. T's sales than anybody did in the past year. Now, I posted this on Facebook, and one of my followers pointed something out. If you look in the lower left-hand corner of this Mrs. T's box, it says low fat. Now, this person lives in Cleveland, and she said, I believe that is illegal in Cleveland to sell low fat. In fact,
Okay.
it may even be a sin. There's a lot of Catholic churches in Cleveland. It may even be a sin to eat low-fat pierogies. I know, I don't think you can bring them across the border. They probably eat them in Michigan. Karen, I don't know. Can you vouch for that?
Oh,
No?
I don't know.
I think there's people at the border preventing them from being brought over, unless you sign a waiver.
Probably.
Yeah, you have to promise to wrap them in bacon or something else that raises the fat level to a normal pierogi.
If I can offer this, it almost looks like an oxymoron. How could you have those pierogies listed with low fat? I mean,
exactly, John. An oxymoron. That's exactly what it is. Low fat pierogies. We'll have to send that in to the Guinness World Collection of oxymorons. We could be the first. Okay, right. Speaking of Guinness World Record, an Idaho man, and this guy's name is Dave Rush. We've talked about him on the show before. He now owns 250 Guinness World Records, now 251. He just broke the Guinness World Record for wrapping a person in newspapers. He went, and I'll put the picture up here so you can take a look at it while I describe it. He wrapped his niece completely in newspaper from head to toe, tips of her fingers, everything but her head, completely in 2 minutes and 53 seconds. So he had to. Why did it take so long? He had to tape each piece to make sure she was completely covered, so he couldn't see anything else. He could have done it fast. Well, to get the record, Karen. Why else?
Oh, yeah, of course. I should have known that.
He could have done it faster. He could have done it faster, but he had to explain to her what a newspaper was first. Because she's a young girl there.
What it is, right.
Yeah, Uncle Dave, what are you wrapping me in again? I don't know about this. So I think here's what I think we should do. We should challenge him to go up against the guinea pig and shoot baskets, but on the guinea pig's home court. So he would have to get down on his stomach and maybe with his tongue, just like the guinea pig does, grab it with his teeth and put it in the little basket. And then we'll see what kind of athlete he is.
Okay, let's arrange it on the next What in the World.
Yeah, that's right. He gets more publicity from us than anybody else. So, okay, so this next story I've been waiting to do. It begins sadly because it's about the death of Paul Vance, who was a songwriter whose claim to fame is that he wrote the song "Itsy Bitsy Teeny Weeny Yellow Polka Dot Bikini." Aww. Now, I don't think you have to be of a certain age to know that song because it's been around forever. It's a novelty song that gets played often. He passed away this week at the age of 92. 92. The song was popular back when bikinis were teeny weeny, but still large enough to tell that they had polka dots on them. I don't know if you've been to the beach lately, Karen, John, and everybody out in podcast land, but there's some bikinis out there where you can't even tell that there's a bikini out there. They're pretty small. So the song, I love this song. It was, let's see if I can bring up a picture here. So the song was first released in 1956 by the Swedish artist. I have a copy of her album cover or single cover up here. The Swedish artist by the name of Lily Babs was her, Lil Babs, Lill, Lil Babs. She was one of Sweden's best known and most popular singers. And she heard about this song and she decided that she was going to record Itsy Bitsy Teeny Weeny Yellow Polka Dot Bikini. She represented Sweden in the 1961 Eurovision Song contest, which was the original America's Got Talent, I guess, or what's the other song competition? Anyway,
American Idol.
American Idol, that's right. So she didn't win with this song, but she was one of the top finalists. She released her first album in 1954. Had 2 songs on it. One of them was "My Mama's Boogie" in Swedish. So if you can imagine that. So now the album cover has a picture of her in a normal bikini, the bikinis that we all grew up watching, oogling at, as they say, the old people like us say. So I'll take the picture down here so we don't have to. John, I know, wants to continue looking at it, but the English. Now she's saying it in Swedish. The English version was first recorded. It was written by Paul Vance, the guy we're going to be talking about, and Lee Pockris, who I will talk about.
Maybe she was on the original Amateur Hour with Major Bose.
Oh, well, she was in Sweden, so if it was a world competition, she may have been.
Okay.
But the first English recording was written by those 2 guys, Paul Vance and Lee Pockris, released in June 1960 by Brian Hyland. That song, now you probably don't remember this, it had an orchestra providing the music, conducted by John Dixon. Brian Hyland was 16 at the time. So he was 16 singing about a girl who was embarrassed by her itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow polka dot bikini, to the point where she ran out in a blanket, and then so no one would see her. Then she ran into the water, where she proceeded to lose the bottoms of her bikini, so she couldn't come out of the water. I'm afraid to come out of the water. You remember all I don't need to sing it for you. So this 16-year-old kid, his only hit, he is still alive. He's never topped it. He still tours just on the fact that he's saying "Itsy Bitsy Teeny Weeny Yellow Polka Dot Bikini." Lee Pockris, the co-writer, also wrote Johnny Angel. So, John, I'll give you a chance to show your trivia knowledge. Do you remember who sang Johnny Angel? Karen does, I'll bet.
Oh, let me think here.
She was related to another famous singer and actress. Okay, John, time's up. Karen, who sang?
Shelley Fabre from the
Shelley
Donna Reed
Fabre.
Show.
All right, good.
Yeah, I believe her niece was Nanette Fabre.
Her aunt.
Her aunt. Oh,
yep.
One of them. Yeah, they were niece and aunt. Okay.
Yeah.
And then together they wrote Perry Como's Grammy-nominated. I can't believe this was nominated for a Grammy. 1957. Catch a Falling Star. Really beautiful song. No one would listen to it today, but I can remember hearing that when we were kids. Perry Como, wonderful voice, great singer. 1957, almost won a Grammy Award. So Paul Vance got the idea for the lyrics to "Itsy Bitsy Bikini" because of his daughter. His daughter was 2 years old. Bikinis had just come out. They went to the beach. She was in that little locker where you change your clothes, and she refused to come out of the locker because she was embarrassed. And there were little boys there that were laughing at her or pointing. You know how little boys are.
Just like big boys.
You could say that, Darren. You could say that, right?
Wait a minute. There you go. Even Bigfoot objects to that one. Yeah. Did he? Bigfoot's losing his batteries here. So this song, the other one was Grammy nominated. Itsy Bitsy Bikini spent 15 weeks on the Billboard Hot 100 chart, including 1 week at #1. That's how popular that song was. Dick Clark introduced it as the hottest or coolest record in the country. The guy who sang it was on American Bandstand. He was on the Jackie Gleason show. He was on all the big shows, Karen. Besides, I don't know if he was on the Amateur Hour. He was a pro. He got paid for doing it. So I love the ending because the ending sums it all up. From the locker to the blanket, from the blanket to the shore, from the shore to the water. Guess there isn't any more. Great song. So anyways, Bigfoot chimed in on the last one here, and he gave us a good segue to our next story, which was suggested by longtime listener, first time caller, Rich Hale. Now, yes,
Wow.
that's
Okay.
Karen's husband. Rich used to make some special appearances on the show when we broadcast from the donut shop. When we moved from the donut shop, somehow he disappeared.
Don't even know where he is today.
Don't. Oh, holy, that's my line. Anyway, so Rich sent me via Karen a TikTok video of, get ready for this, Bigfoot fans, John, a Bigfoot howling in the woods, allegedly in Georgia. Now, unfortunately, we don't have the high-tech technology to play the howl. But for those of you who listen in and hear my Bigfoot howl, part of the recording sounded very much like that. It was the gentleman who recorded it was trying to catch a deer, or he believed there were deer in the area. So he actually had a video camera set out, and he just set it on constant record, and it recorded and recorded. And somewhere in the middle of it, you could hear leaves rustling, and then this howl. Now, shortly after the howl, there was some growling. Now, I've listened in my position as editor and head writer at Mysterious Universe, I've listened to a fair number of Bigfoot howl recording. I've never heard growling. So that made me a little suspicious. And the people who watched and listened to the video tended to agree with me. In fact, many of them said it sounded like some rednecks partying. Now, if it's in Georgia, okay, if it's rednecks partying, I'm just glad that they're singing something other than Freebird down there. But the growls, I think, were not, they kind of turned me off. The howl, though, he's probably going to hear this and he's going to edit out the growls and try to promote it as the greatest Bigfoot recording ever. If you want to hear the greatest Bigfoot recording ever, go to mysteriousuniverse.org, and in the search box, key in Cuyahoga Valley Bigfoot. And there are 2 stories with recordings of the Bigfoot howl that was recorded right down the street from where we all are in the Cuyahoga Valley National Park, part of Brecksville, Sagamore Hills, down south to Akron, Canton, all over the place. So then you'll hear a good Bigfoot recording. Anyways, okay. This is, I mentioned the albino tortoise. Now, we've all heard about the giant tortoises from the Galapagos Island. These things years old, 1,000 pounds. Zoo in Switzerland, Cervan, Switzerland, is trying to breed them, and they were successful. So this is there's our I'll bring our bikini girl back up here one more time just for John, and then we'll move over to the turtle. Now, this isn't any ordinary Galapagos turtle. This turtle was born, it's the first ever albino giant Galapagos turtle that anyone is aware of. And I wanted to put the picture up here because although it's not lily white, it's certainly not tortoise green. But the best part is if you look at the eyes are pink, which is, and the toenails are white. So that's signifies to the biologist that this is a true albino Galapagos turtle with no pigment in its body whatsoever. So the first thing I thought of, John, was that when we were in college together, I believe that we saw the albino tortoises open for the turtles somewhere in Cleveland.
You might be right on that, Paul.
That's right. That's right. What was it? What would the turtles had one big hit that everybody played? Happy Together, I believe.
Happy Together, yes.
Yeah. Well, they'd be happy to see this turtle. In fact, I have another photo here because it's just such a cool thing to look at. That's how small it is. So you can imagine, should it survive, and we hope that it does, it could be, hundreds, if not 1,000 pounds of white turtle. So I thought that was pretty cool. Now, they were really excited about this in Switzerland, to the point where they put it on Facebook, and some people were saying that they should make this the new mascot of Switzerland. So my first thought is, well, what are they going to bump out of the slot as the old mascot of Switzerland? Any guesses as to what the mascot of Switzerland might be?
What about the Saint Bernard dog?
Saint Bernard is one of the ones that is often thought of. There's a second tier of mascots. Karen, do you have an idea?
No idea.
The cow. The cow.
In
How does that-
Switzerland?
Yeah, the mascot of Switzerland. So the tortoise might be a good one. I thought that the mascot, myself, I thought the mascot might be Swiss Miss, the lady who's on the packages of hot chocolate.
Right.
Well, I thought, if she's not, she should be. So I looked up the Swiss Miss. I'll take the tortoise down here. I looked up the Swiss Miss. It turns out Swiss Miss is a brand of cocoa powder, but it was made in America. It has nothing to do with Switzerland. It's a great story. It was invented in the 50s by a guy named Charles Santa, and he made it for the Conagra Brands Food Company. He worked for Conagra during the war, especially during the Korean War. And one of the things that they provided was powdered coffee creamer for soldiers in Korea, because they couldn't very well carry creamer with them or find a cow. So there was such a demand that they made a huge, they filled a warehouse full of this creamer. And then, some president ended the war before they could send it all over there. So now they have this warehouse of creamer that powdered creamer, they don't know what to do with. So Charles Santa decided he was going to find a way to get rid of it. And so what he did was he thought it would make an excellent ingredient for a cup of hot cocoa. So he experimented. He combined it with powdered cocoa, sugar, and vanilla, poured in hot water, and eventually invented a product that he did not call Swiss Miss. He called Swiss Brown, which isn't as appealing as Swiss Miss by any stretch. Yeah, but it's a breed of cows. So he named it after a breed of cows.
Really?
Yeah. Now, I don't think that the name affected it as much as people just weren't familiar with it. So believe it or not, it wasn't selling. So he still needed to get rid of the stuff. So he was giving it to airlines, and airlines were serving it back then when they used to get a nice, decent meal on an airline trip across the country. They were serving packages of Swiss Miss along with the meals. And it became so popular that people were coming home after their trips and running to the grocery store demanding Swiss Miss hot cocoa mix, which made with hot water, and that finally was popular in the grocery store. So a little bit of what in the world trivia for you there.
Sure.
Yeah. So John, did you watch the any of the Royal Queen Elizabeth Jubilee over the weekend?
Yes, I did. I did watch some of it, Paul. Yes, I did.
Yeah. So what'd you think? Were you impressed?
Some of it was interesting. I thought the thing where they the portion of the show where they showed all the lights that were outside of Buckingham Palace. I thought that was very impressive.
Yeah, they did a nice job. Yeah,
I think so. And
did you see the flyover when the jets flew over? And
no, I did not, but I imagine that was pretty inspiring.
Well, it's a good thing you tuned in today, John DiNallo. This is your lucky day, because that's what we're going to be talking about next. The videos of the royal family standing on the balcony, watching the Royal Air Force aerobatic team flying over. They're called the Red Arrows. I think I have a picture of them here that I'll put up while we're talking about it. The Red Arrows. They're like the Blue Angels or the Air Force Thunderbirds in the United States. So these red jets are flying across the sky. Their contrails are red, white, and blue. And so people are watching this, and they magnified it, because up in the corner, you can see it circled here on this particular photo. There's a white ball that shot across the smoke trails before going off the screen. And a lot of people are saying that it was a UFO monitoring the performance of the RAF acrobatic team, the Red Arrows. So it was the experts that I consulted with said it was too fast to be a balloon or a drone. But some people think it may have been a bird, and it was just the perspective that caused it to look like it shot right across. However, the one thing that there was one person who noticed it, of everyone who was there. Nobody else noticed it while they were there, and that person was not the Queen, but a hologram of the Queen. Now, I don't know if you saw the royal carriage was being pulled through the ceremony, and although Queen Elizabeth was probably sitting in her bed watching the ceremony, people who were out there could see what looked like a young Queen Elizabeth in the carriage waving to the crowd as it went by. Did you see that, John?
I did not. No, I did not.
That is a hologram of young Queen Elizabeth.
Wow.
They didn't want people to be disappointed that they couldn't see the Queen. So they rigged up this ancient, it's from the 1700s, it's an ancient carriage. They somehow rigged it up to beam a hologram on the window so people could see. And sure enough, they swear when the UFO went over, she stopped and pointed to it. So I don't know if that's true or not, but made a good story.
It's some creativity there, I would say.
No kidding. That's how much they love Queen Elizabeth. You don't see Chuckles or Wills or all those other wannabe royals in there.
No, not at all.
I hope they're not listening. If they're listening, we love you. Especially Meghan. Oh, they treated Meghan so terribly. And we're not going to get any more into that because we don't talk about that kind of stuff on What in the World. Okay, let's go from ground level all the way to the International Space Station. This was from the news this week. I like to cover some science news, especially space news. So this was the big space news for the week. This comes from the International Space Station from NASA. Okay, we're looking at a picture of a NASA astronaut on the International Space Station. He is holding a pizza, a personal pizza. Turns out, despite all the disputes that are going on between Russia and the United States on the ground, the astronaut and the cosmonaut had a pizza party on the International Space Station. And what they did was they had tortillas. Okay, so they didn't have actual pan pizzas, but they had tortillas with, and they topped it with marinara sauce, pepperoni, and unmelted jalapeno cheese. So for those of you who can't see it, what it looks like is what you would put together if there was nothing else left in your refrigerator but tortillas and some ketchup and maybe a piece of salami and what was left of a hunk of cheese. It really doesn't look appetizing.
It really doesn't. No, it does not.
That's all they had. So here's a picture of the astronaut and the cosmonauts, and they're chowing down on this stuff like they've never seen good pizza. They're just there's a cosmonaut in there who folded his pizza in half, so it looks more like a taco, which I believe would be illegal, except they're outside of the boundaries of pizza regulations. So on the International Space Station, you can fold your personal pan pizzas, and I think that would be, isn't that called is that a cannoli or a calzone?
Well, a calzone,
that's what he did. He made himself a calzone.
Term, Paul. A calzone is a more accurate term. Yes.
Now, but I think they should have just called Little Caesars for pizza delivery. That's all.
Delivery, yeah. I'm sure SpaceX, Elon Musk would have
problem. That would have solved the problem for sure.
Yeah. Right. Now, my question in looking at this photograph, the one thing I noticed is that there's nothing floating around. They're weightless. And yet somehow there's no pepperoni floating. There's no pieces of cheese. There's no marinara sauce. Somehow, so I wonder, I'm going to start a conspiracy theory here. I wonder if this was shot someplace to fool us into thinking that everything is copacetic on the International Space
You
Station.
know, anything's possible, Paul.
You heard it here first, folks, on What in the World, a conspiracy, a fake International Space Station pizza party.
Okay. Hope we don't get sued for that.
No, we're not going to get sued for that, Carrie. We're going to get sued for the next story. So here's my question to everybody out there. Why do giraffes have long necks? Have you ever thought about that? Why do giraffes have long necks? John, I'll throw that one to you.
I have no idea.
No idea. Karen, how about you?
Oh, it's so they can eat the top branches of the trees.
Yeah, where all the good stuff is, all the good stuff. That's what everybody says, except for John. So it turns out that that's not true. So John is still correct because he has it answered.
Wow.
Yeah, how about that? If you're keeping score at home, a new study on why giraffes have such long necks have proposed that it has to do with male giraffes fighting over female giraffes. And here's an amazing recreation of prehistoric giraffes before they had long necks. So now they have medium necks. And this is a drawing of an ancestor, two ancestors actually, of ancient giraffe. They look like they're wearing derbies, don't they?
Yeah, really.
Hats. Yeah. So anyways, these researchers have studied the fossils of these ancient giraffes and looked at the vertebrae and the wounds on their heads and determined that the reason why giraffes had long necks is because the males fight over the female. And longer necks were used to wrap around their opponent's neck and pull them down or perhaps even choke them. And the bottom picture shows two giraffes with longer necks fighting with their necks. So what they believe is that the females saw this and thought, oh, we're going for the guy with the long neck. And that's what, and the genetics were passed down to the generation after generation. And that's the real reason why giraffes have long necks. Now, my question is, why can't we see this on pay-per-view? I would love to see giraffes at the zoo, put a
kind of competition,
female in heat in the pen and watch two giraffes go at it. I think plenty of people would pay for that. John would pay for that, wouldn't you, John?
I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure I can get the price. Say,
oh, John,
what's this extra charge here on our bill? I don't know. Skeptical at best. Sorry.
I don't think so. You wouldn't pay for that, huh? Okay. All right, John.
I don't think so. Sorry.
How about
blanket on the fire? But yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to throw this story in here. I'm gonna. We'll get. Vintage wingback chair was donated to a resale shop in Liverpool, England, and everybody wants it because on the chair was a sign that said "definitely not haunted." So everybody thought, well, of course, it must be haunted. Why else would they put a sign on it that said "definitely not haunted"? The manager claimed that he did it as a joke, but he's getting more bids on this chair than on any other chair in the shop. So of course, that's what they're going to do. They're going to put "definitely not haunted" on everything. This is causing chairs at this store to sell faster than chairs that said Queen Victoria sat here or Queen Elizabeth sat here. Like the places in the United States where George Washington sat. And people who commented on it said, well, of course, that's what a ghost would say. They would want you to believe it's not haunted. Then you sit down and it starts making weird noises and scares the beast off of them. So I've mentioned before on the podcast that John and I went to college together. We were also in a fraternity together. So I wanted to do this fraternity story here before we switch to sport. This is an actual yearbook from ancient Greece. Now, since it's from ancient Greece, it's written in Greece and it's carved in stone. So this is a picture of the front and the back of it. For those of you taking a look at it on YouTube, the back doesn't have much on it, but the front is all covered with inscriptions, which it turns out are the names of the graduating class of Ephebic College in ancient Athens, Greece. They're not sure when exactly this college class graduated, but they were so proud of themselves that they had a yearbook. Now they didn't carve their pictures in there, but a couple of them wrote, inscriptions like most likely to get stabbed in the back, and
Oh,
and I wish they would have had a sports section in there, because what sports would they have been playing? This is ancient Greece. They would have been playing the Olympics. So they could have been some of the first Olympic athletes putting their pictures in the first Athenian Greek yearbook. Then I remembered that the original Olympics were contested in the nude. So perhaps they didn't want to share those pictures in stone for.
that sounds like a
Most
very
likely.
possible reason. That sounds like a
Yeah,
very possible
yeah.
reason, Paul.
I obviously put a lot of thought into that one, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Yes, you did.
But talking about putting a lot of thought into things, that brings us to the segment that everybody loves to listen to, What in the World of Sports with John DiNallo. Every week on What in the World, I challenge John to come up with a strange sports that you've never heard of. And for those of you who have listened to the podcast before, John, look up off the wall in the dictionary, and John's picture is there. He has got more off the wall sports.
I'm okay with that, Paul and Karen. I'm all right with that. It's a good way of putting it, actually. So,
Well,
good.
So sometimes I ask him if, maybe come up with a sport that we could compete in. He gave me a little hint on this one, and I guarantee, Karen, we won't be competing in this one anytime soon. So,
Okay.
John, why don't you introduce your sport to us while I line up some photos for us?
That sounds great, Paul and Karen. Yes, and I know I would not be participating in this sport either. But our sport this week is Haka P. I'll spell it for you. Hakapei. And it's an extreme sport that is actually contested, or is actually done in Easter Island. Now,
Easter Island, okay, out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, way out in the middle of nowhere.
It's in the middle of nowhere. Now, this sport is undoubtedly the boldest and most popular competition among the local inhabitants of Easter Island. These are the
Sounds
natives.
exciting.
These
Okay.
are the natives that participate. So this risky game consists of sliding down a hill while lying on a sled that is built with only 2 trunks of banana trees tied together.
Did you get that, Karen, and everybody out there in podcast land?
Yes, trunks of banana
trunks
trees.
from banana trees tied together.
They're not tied together with like some kind of strong rope. Okay, they're
Or
just tied
Scotch
together
tape.
with whatever material. Yes, Scotch tape. What they come up with. But wait, here it is. The speeds sometimes reach over 50 miles an hour.
50 miles an hour.
But it only takes 10 seconds to reach the bottom.
Wow.
Wow.
Now the winner of the contest is the one who manages to travel the greatest distance from the launch point. Oh, and the only thing the contestants have in there is a loincloth and body paint.
Now,
It's almost all natural, so to
you
I'm
speak.
go.
not
Yeah,
participating.
I know Karen was anxious to
No.
see the athletes in their loincloths. Right?
Yeah.
There
them
they are.
In
There
their
they are.
loincloths, also covered with their traditional banana
Yeah.
sliding body paint. So, which I think John's going to tell us about.
Yeah, sure. Now, so to go to the origin, it's believed that the origin of Haka Pi dates back to an ancient rite of passage for young men, for them to become what is called matato, or warriors.
Ah, okay. Rite of passage.
Well, rite of
Okay.
passage. Now, some believe that in this practice was part of the warrior training routine to give them courage in the battles they fought against other clans on the island.
Now, how exactly did they fight against them? Did they slide down the hill and knock them over, or
Well, no, that's a good question.
it's like the Easter Island version of tanks,
You're right.
banana trunks?
But what
Okay. Anyways, John, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. What they're trying to take away from this is courage, because it takes
Yeah.
guts to be able to do this. So a few decades ago, the ancient tradition recovered because there was a hiatus, okay, where they weren't doing this. But then,
It was too scared to do it.
well, yeah, sure. And then people then added to the 2-week annual Tapati Rapa Nui festival. And then it all of a sudden took off and was actually became its most anticipated competition.
Wow.
People were really dying to get into the contest.
Well, not dying. They weren't dying, were they, John?
No, they were not. That's a figure of speech.
They were
Paul.
anxious.
Figure of speech. Okay. So, but as it would go on, okay, for these contests, the participants would cut down their own banana trees. They would lay them at the base of the hill for several days to absorb energy. That was their thinking. They thought if they laid the trees down that they would absorb energy. Then the trees are hauled to the top of the hill.
Wow.
But they are shaped by machetes and bound together with, again, those very flimsy ropes into a sled.
Or it looks like they even use banana, the leaves. They look like they use banana leaves too.
Oh yeah, the leaves.
These are big. For those of you who can't see the pictures, these are big tree trunks. They're not telephone pole size. The diameter is close, but they are long. They're probably 20 feet long.
They are, but here it is. There is no rudder. There is no rudder. wait. No.
Oh, that's not fair. No rudder.
There's no rudder. There's no steering wheel, and there's no brakes. There's just two pairs of skates to place their feet and their hands, and that's what you see this gentleman doing here, right there.
So this is even scarier than the bobsled in the Olympics, the Winter Olympics.
Interestingly enough, the day before, young people who participate for the very first time in the competition, they go to the Catholic Church of Santa Cruz to pray and ask for divine protection.
Boy, they need some kind of protection. That's for sure.
On the day of the competition, the contestants put on their what is called hammy loincloths and decorate their bodies with Tacona paint. Then they share a ceremonial Coranto meal. And then finally, each contestant gets on their banana raft and their teammates shove them down the hill, again, that reaches an inclination of 45 feet. I mean, 45 degrees, excuse me.
45 degrees, wow.
You're right. If all goes well, they end up in the front of the judges' stand so the judges can determine who the winner is.
At the bottom.
If you are unlucky, you end up in bushes or flip into the air when hitting either potholes or actual rocks.
Yeah, like this guy here. This guy hit something, and it looks like he's about to flip over. He doesn't seem too concerned either.
No, but as I said again, with a resurgence in the sports, in this sport, it's very popular now. And fathers pass it along to their sons.
Wow.
Now, if you're wondering for equal time, if women are in this competition, some of them stand at the start and they question the manhood of the participants in order to give them more incentive to ride down the hill. Girls have also been added to the triathlon event, but none are pushing for a woman's haka pie. At least
unbelievable. Here's some of the women cheering the men on. Now there was one photo, John. I don't know if you mentioned it. There, it looked like they had a tandem, two guys on a sled. So apparently there's little variations.
There are variations, yes. Even though it's just one competitor, per two trunks, banana tree trunks. No, wait a minute. Because of the danger involved, because of the danger involved, there's no drinking involved in the sport.
Thank goodness.
However, when the competition is over, a banana split is both a rewarding treat and also, kind of a common injury in that sense. So, a banana split, if you follow what we're saying. And that's haka pie, ladies and gentlemen.
Haka pie. Boy, that sounds almost dirty.
Very
and the most common injury is the banana split, which I don't even want to know what.
You don't want to go there, Paul. You don't want to go there. No.
I don't think I want to go there. No, not at all. Well, John, by the way, it appears that the female fans are dressed in itsy bitsy teeny weeny not so
Yeah,
yellow
right,
polka dot
exactly.
bikinis. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're scantily clad, that's for sure. So
There you go. That's right. Another reason to take a look at what in the world on YouTube. Now, another reason to look at what in the world on YouTube is that more often than not, when John comes up with one of these weird stories, weird sports, it reminds me, he and I got involved in a lot of things when we were in college, and I believe that both of us attempted this sport at one time, possibly after a night of visiting a pub in Cleveland. And we both tried it. And I think I have some photos here. I have a photo of what happened when John attempted to ride on a banana sled. There's John right there. John, not quite sliding down the hill as elegantly as the Easter Island Warriors.
And I can remember, if I remember correctly, I came down with a rather hard landing. I mean, just look at how high I am, and I would end up on some kind of concrete surface, as you can see.
I believe you had a banana split after that.
I did to console myself.
But not to be outdone. How it was when you're in a fraternity. If your brother does it, you have to do it. So here's a picture of me after I attempted it.
Hey, we're both not in the Hall of Fame, that's for sure.
There you go. No, we're not in the Hakapai Hall of Fame. I believe I may have been on the way to the morgue before they revived me after that. I am splayed on the ground next to a banana peel, which is where John was as well. So
those college memories. Yeah.
Well, Hakapai from Easter Island. Who knew that Easter Island had such a weird and dangerous, although albeit interesting sport? So thank you, John, for that sport.
Thanks.
Yes, and everyone who's tuned in before knows that when sports is over, that means it's time for everyone's favorite weird news game, Bluff the Co-host. I know Bigfoot always loves Bluff the Co-host. Yeah, there's no growling. Oh, just celebratory howling because he can't wait to see who wins.
That's a good way to describe that, Paul. That's a good way to describe it.
Why don't you take your picture off the screen and we don't have to see you? That's okay.
I was so enamored with the introduction to Bluff the Co-host.
Of course.
So, Bluff the Co-host, for those of you who haven't played before, I have 3 stories similar to the ones we've been talking about all afternoon. One big difference. While those stories are all real, the stories that I will be reading in Bluff the Co-host may or may not be. Some may be real, some may be bluffs, all or none. It's up to John, Karen, and you playing at home to determine what they are. Gambling is allowed, so place your bets. Karen and John, put your hands on the buzzer. I don't believe there's any theme this week, so we'll get right to story number 1. If you've ever wanted to live in the dream house your Barbie doll lived in, or your sister's Barbie doll, you still can't do that, but you can spend some time touring it. Mattel announced the World of Barbie exhibit, which consists of a life-size Barbie dream house, a garage, a Corvette, a camper van, and everything you remember playing with. All of the features in the World of Barbie exhibit are fully operational and can be touched and used, except for the Corvette and the camper van. While they won't look like Barbie, there will be Mattel employees there to answer any and all questions about the house, Barbie, and all of her friends. That includes Ken, who can visit the exhibit but is not allowed to stay overnight. The World of Barbie exhibit opens soon in Toronto before touring across the United States. So, Karen and John and everybody out there, a life-size Barbie dream house developed by Mattel so that you can experience the thrill of being a real Barbie. What do you say, real or bluff?
Even if it's not real, it should be, because I think, it would take us back to at least take me back to my childhood. I was denied having a Barbie doll.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I had an imitation Barbie.
Babushka.
Yeah. But I'm going to say this is real.
Oh, okay. So Karen says it's real. Would you go if it was real?
Absolutely.
Okay. Karen says it's real. John, how about you?
I'm going to say it's true also, because it's relatively harmless. I mean, a lot of our stories involve different strange things. This is kind of basic, straightforward, and I'm gonna say it's real.
So John says it's real too. Now I want to stop for a second and point out that John said this is relatively harmless.
Well,
I can remember my sisters being angry with me for tearing the heads off of their Barbie dolls.
oh, we all did that. But I did it with my sister. I mean, my brothers and I did it with my sister. Oh yeah, we were always torturing Barbie and other things like that. But yeah, of course.
So if this is real, let's hope that there's security guards there to prevent that from happening and keep it relatively harmless, as John described. So for those of you who have already lost track, both John and Karen say that's a real story. Let's check with the judges, and the judges say both of you are correct. That is a real story.
All right, Karen, way to go.
Yeah,
Good. Getting off the gates well here. That's good.
Toronto and various cities across the United States.
And Paul Reed said it was true.
And he would know.
He would know.
It's long time.
He has inside information. He has inside information. Oh, yeah.
My old puppet buddy. Hi, Paul. Thank you for listening. Okay, so the score for those of you who are not paying attention is 1-1. And that means we're ready for story number 2, hands on the buzzers. You may have heard of smoking banana peels, but a man in California claims the new natural and perfectly legal high can be had by smoking those giant avocado pits. He claims he came up with the idea after drying out some avocado pits on his windowsill as part of his plan to plant them in his backyard. Unfortunately, he waited too long and some ants found the pits first. Fortunately, he noticed that the ants leaving the pits couldn't seem to walk in a straight line. He decided to grind up one of the pits, put it in a pipe, and after smoking it, he couldn't walk in a straight line either. Now, before you run out and try this for yourself, this is what he told the cops who stopped him for speeding and found his trunk filled with stolen avocados. Experts say avocado pits won't get you high, but they will get you 30 days in jail in California. All right. So the man who claimed that smoking avocado pits gets you high just to get out of a ticket. What do you say, John? Real or bluff?
Well, it's California, so it's already going to be outlandish. I'm torn on this one. I'm not really sure, but I'm going to have to say that it's real.
Oh, John says it's real. Okay. Did you ever smoke avocado pits, John?
I can confidently say I never have, Paul.
No, okay. All right. And if it's real, anyway, John, how about you, Karen?
Well, I have to agree because avocados they're becoming scarce. So, if you stole them, that would be a reason to go to jail. And I think people will try to smoke just about anything today.
Yeah.
Both true. Okay. So let's check with, so both of you say that that's a real story. Let's check with the judges, and the judges say, sorry, that was a bluff.
Maybe we should have mentioned to the ants not being able to walk in this. How do you know if an ant walks in a straight line or not?
John,
I'm just throwing it out there.
I'm down on your hands and knees and looked at ants. They all walk in a straight line.
But Paul, according to your story, I mean, he noticed the ants were not balanced or whatever, that they were,
staggering. Yeah, he had his magnifying glass out before he burned them in the sunlight.
I got to be a little more attentive on the next one here.
Yeah, I guess.
Boy, John's upset here. I'm sorry about that, John. Don't worry, John. The score is still tied 1-1. So
okay, all right, okay. Well, I take losing in a bad way. I'm a sore loser sometimes.
Oh.
Points are doubled in round 3 of Bluff the Co-host. So let's see how everybody does here. Hands on the buzzer. There's some good news for you'll do good at this one, John. There's some good news for Catholics in California. The Archbishop of the Diocese of Los Angeles has ruled that beef bone broth, which is made by boiling beef bones in water, is not considered to be meat and can be consumed by healthy Catholics who must abstain from meat during Lent, but still want the benefits of drinking beef bone broth, which is supposed to help people get stronger bones. The Archbishop says he has already received approval from Pope Francis, who is a longtime fan of beef bone broth. And food experts say that the broth only tastes like beef, but contains no meat that would cause a Catholic to violate their Lenten fast. The Archbishop is now considering a similar ruling on artificial fish made from ground oxtail bones. So, other than that last line, the Archbishop of California, of Los Angeles, getting approval for Catholics to drink beef bone broth during Lent without violating their Lenten fast. Real or bluff, Karen, who I know for a fact has never been on a Lenten fast?
No, I haven't. But that thing that you said about the bone broth has no meat, but it's the bone of the animal and meat would have been surrounding it. So therefore, I don't think he gave approval.
Oh, okay. So Karen is disagreeing with the Archbishop of Los Angeles. Lucky for you, you don't follow and fall underneath the Pope there, Pope's ruling. So
You're right.
it says at the bluff. We'll go to longtime Catholic John DiNallo. What do you say, John?
Well, I'm going to say it's a bluff also, because I don't know how you can all of a sudden just pinpoint that specific food and then not look to other foods that sometimes are looked at in a questionable light of not being like totally meat, with the definition of meat. So yeah, I'm going to say it's a bluff.
Okay, even though it's California.
It is California, but I'm thinking also when the Pope makes rulings, I think he rules across the world, actually. So I don't think he's making this rule. I don't think he's making this rule for Los Angeles County or the city of Los Angeles.
But you know, John, he's been photographed lately in a wheelchair, so it's entirely feasible that that he's drinking beef bone broth in order to strengthen himself.
It's possible, but I'm going to say it's false, Paul. I'm going to say it's false.
Okay, John. No matter how hard I try, John's going to say, stick with it, the bluff. Karen also says it's a bluff. Let's check with the judges. And the judges say, congratulations to both of you. That was a bluff.
Way to be savvy on that, Karen.
Absolutely.
Wow, there you go. So we ended up with a tie, which means both Karen and John are winners this week.
All right, that's good. You want to be a winner. You don't want to be a loser. All right, that's good.
Congratulations. No winners on What in the World. In fact, all of you out there listening are winners as well, because we appreciate you so much listening to our podcast, watching it on YouTube, however you partake of What in the World. We appreciate it. We thank you for doing that. We ask you to tell your friends. Please come back and listen again. Like us, follow us, do whatever you have to. You can send messages to me on Facebook. If you're listening live, as our friend Paul Reed was, you can send messages to Karen and we'll find out about it. So
you certainly will.
Donna and some of our other regular listeners send messages as well. So I want to thank my old friend John DiNallo from What in the World of Sports. Thank you, John, as always, and for being a good
You're welcome, Paul, Karen. It's always a good hour. It goes so quick.
It does.
Comment as always. And of course, we thank Karen Hale, media mogul, producer of New Cleveland, media mogul of NewClevelandRadio.net, producer of our show, all around great person. Her podcasts are wonderful. Please, after you listen to What in the World, listen to some or all of her podcasts. They are really great. They're very interesting, all different kinds of subjects. You'll always find something worth listening to. And with that, again, thanks to everybody for listening, and we will see you next